Grace and peace, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a magnanimous day. It is your girl, Yamie, aka YamzBsayin, and you are now tuned into Can I Be Honest? Now, ladies and gentlemen who are tuned in, you know me. You know I love to have a women on the platform to kind of talk you down. But one of the greatest pleasures that I do have too of having a platform is the opportunity to connect with a variety of different voices and voices that can speak to a specific topic. And this is no different. Ladies and gentlemen, under the umbrella of the Evideni Book Publishing Company, I present to you Dr. Larry Carnes. You got a doctor in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, optimum blessing to you. How are you?
I cannot complain. I thank you so much for lending kind of your time and your wisdom to this platform. And briefly, before we get the going, you mentioned, I was telling him that I was like, even though my audience is mostly women, I generally like to have some male perspectives to come in and to offer some perspective. That way, everybody's kind of growing together. Tell the audience what you said about kind of where your gift has landed you.
Yes, I was sharing that I'm accustomed to being the only male in the midst of all females. I do women's conferences and workshops, and I'm the only male speaker there. And sometimes we'll find where a wife will bring the husband, may drag the husband along in the audience, but I'm the only male speaker. I've done it in New Zealand, Nigeria, Columbus, Ohio, Baltimore, Maryland, here in Atlanta area. I mean, it just happens.
Listen, that's a really great segue into introducing yourself. Now, Dr. Carnes, I tell people when they come onto this platform that sometimes some of us have the false humility in us, and it prohibits us from giving people our best and honest perspective of who we are. We give a light version. We give a who we are light, a diet light version of who we are. In this moment, that's not who I want you to be. I want you to talk that talk. You hear me? Let the people know, because I already done told them that you're a doctor. So, I mean, you can't be an alphabet boy without having some experience. So tell the people who you are.
Yeah. Well, Larry Carnes, Dr. Larry Carnes, born and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee, worked for the DuPont company, went into the Marine Corps for a couple of years, came out, started to work for the DuPont company in Chattanooga, Tennessee, transferred to the Augusta, Georgia area because DuPont ran the Department of Energy and nuclear facility. Mm-hmm. Transferred and worked there, was operations training manager, first Black operations training manager on the site that occupied at one time more than 20,000 people. Wow. Huge place. Came up through that, came out of that, and into the ministry. I'm a certified master life coach with Dr. Sam Chan and Dream Releaser Coaching. Came through that program, and Dr. Chan added me to his staff. So I'm a certified master life coach. I'm the international liaison for Dream Releaser Coaching, where I've done coaching in New Zealand, Nigeria, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and London, just all that stuff. Yes, I'm a doctor. I have a doctorate in ministry. My master's is in religious education, and my bachelor's is in business administration. And I just happen to be an apostle and a consecrated or ordained bishop, whatever you want to call it. So I gave you the whole fluff.
Yes, yes, that talk. Because I mean, even speaking from a spiritual perspective, the things that the opportunities that you have are not your own; they belong to God. So I feel like when we offer them up in perspective, and we offer them, we offer them up humbly, but we at least say them. Yeah. I believe that God can be glorified in those things. So I'm for apostle, bishop. Tell me what to call you, doctor. All of it.
Yeah, Dr. Carnes is good. Some people, I tell people when they ask, they say, well, what do we call you? I say, well, my mama called me Larry, but Some other people call me some other things. We don't want to talk about that. I say, but this is what you do. Who am I to you? How do you receive me?
Yeah.
If you receive me as Larry, you're going to get Larry. Dude, all right, but he ain't going to go into the spiritual stuff for you.
Dude, all right.
Yeah, I mean, he all right. You know, his mama raised him, bust that behind when it needed to be busted. You know, he gone through all that, slapped upside the head. He made it. So if you want Dr. Carnes, you get Dr. Carnes. If you want, many people call the pastor, the prophet, the apostle, the bishop.
Yeah.
I say, so who am I to you? In whatever way you receive me, that's who you're going to get.
Come on.
And so that's just the way I am. I mean, I play bid whiz, I play spades, you know. I go hang out. One of my godsons, he's into the rap and R&B stuff. Salute. He called me, he said, Pops, need to hang out and talk with you. Can we go to the sports bar, watch a game? Can we go down to the Battery and watch a game? I said, yeah, man, let's go. You know, we go down. He drink his Corona. I got my Pepsi. Well, really Coke. You know, I if I do it, I really drink Coke.
Oh,
but
Lord.
yeah, cause see, Coke's the real thing, and you know, God don't drink nothing but the real thing. So if you're going, you got to drink Coke.
I'm so sick of you. You know what? You must. I know you said you were from Chattanooga, but you must be a Georgia inbred, because I promise to you, even my husband. One time I messed around and brought a Pepsi to the house, and he was just kind of like, "Well, who gonna drink this?"
I know that's right. Yeah, bring the real thing. Coke is the real thing. Oh, I know that's right.
So, Dr. Carnes, if you could also maybe list any achievements that you've achievements to you that you've had in your lifetime so far.
Yeah, you know, there was something I remember as a kid, born and raised inner city, Chattanooga, Tennessee, South. Mm-hmm. I can remember looking one day and seeing something take place. I saw two friends. I thought they were fighting. The guy's hand went out, and I thought he just hit him in the stomach. But I just found out later that he had stabbed him. And I said, watching that, I said, God, Lord is what I said. When I grow up, I'm not going to be like that. Now, I made that decision just seeing that. So coming out of high school, I made a decision to go into the Marine Corps. I already had the discipline. I already knew how to follow orders because my parents didn't play that. So that was no problem. Went into the Marine Corps. When I got into the Marine Corps, I became a demolition engineer, laying minefields and blowing stuff up and all this good stuff. But I was always what we call polish and shine. My boots were spit shine, my brass was polished, my stuff was starched. I was laid. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the way my mother raised and dressed me. So I carried that into the Marine Corps. That spoke volumes, and I got promotions very quickly. Came out of the Marine Corps, went to work for the DuPont company, got promoted into supervision. And I said, you know, I'm not going to be a what we call a first line supervisor long. Interesting enough, the guy who came into the building that I worked in, he had just got promoted. This guy was with me in basic training in the Marine Corps when we were 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. I was at home one day looking through my platoon book, and I looked, I said, wait a minute, now watch this. A white guy in South Carolina with the nickname Sambo. Shout out. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So he comes to the shift. He's been promoted into supervision. I'm an operator at this point, but I've always been a good worker in everything that I've done. I always had this thing to serve. He came in one day when he needed things done, and I excelled in what I did. He carved this piece of paper up, and it said, promotion to supervision. He said, do you want me to put this in? Now, mind you, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, the offer had been made. I didn't take advantage of it. I was wild, you know, doing what you do. That opportunity passed here. This opportunity comes again, second opportunity. He says, do you want me to put this in? Now, I was trying to leave and go into a different department. And so I said, yeah, put it in. So I went and took the supervisor's test and everything. It really dealt with common stuff in management perspective.
Mm-hmm.
In less than 2 months, I was in supervision.
Oh, wow.
And so they say, well, you know, you in first line supervision, it take you 10 years to get to senior management. I said it might have taken you 10 years. It won't take me 10 years. So I moved from operations and go over into training. A little after I go into training, an operations training manager position comes available. We have an area training manager. Now listen to this. This is so crazy. The guy who had become the area training manager, he was a subcontractor when he first came into the area. I trained him on the material that we were training people in the facility. I trained him on the material because he was developing it and putting it to a database. He became the area training manager and became my boss in training.
Wow.
So this opportunity for an operations training manager comes up. He comes to me one day. He says, they're offering me an operations training manager senior position. You and another person are the only candidates. Then he said, why should I give it to you? Why should you be the operations training manager? His name was Neil Weems. I said, Neil, I'm already doing what the job requires. I've trained 3 trainers. They are qualified, and now they are training operators throughout this facility. I'm already doing what the job requires. He said this to me. He said, but sometimes when we're having meetings, you don't agree with me. I said, but Neil, I never ever disagree with you unprofessionally. Mm-hmm. He said, I'll let you know my decision in the morning. Came in the next day, he said, congratulations, you're the operations training manager. Wow. The way that you treat people, you never know whose path you're going to cross and where these people are going to be. Now, promoted into supervision, was in basic training with this guy as a 17-year-old in the Marine Corps. Get to Savannah Riverside, actually in Aiken, South Carolina, about 30 miles from Augusta, Georgia. The guy who I trained as a subcontractor on the material for our training program becomes the area training manager, and then he promotes me. I was the first Black African-American operations training manager on that site. That site sits on over 300 square miles of property. Those have been some milestones.
Yes.
Got saved there. Came and, really got saved for real, for real. And did that, pastored the church that my spiritual mentor, the late Bishop George C. Lee III, traveled the world with the man of God, traveled the world, just amazing things, miracles, signs, and wonders. And then came to the Atlanta, Georgia area because the time at that church and some other things, it just came to an end. It seems like, everything that you had, one day you're the pastor, one week you're the pastor, the next week you're not. So now you're dealing with this thing of you have a sudden change that was abrupt and traumatic, but you never had time to prepare and transition for the change. So there was no transitioning, it was change. Now, anytime there's a sudden change, it happens suddenly, but you can change locations, but spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically, you're still in the place where you were.
That's a good point.
Because you didn't make the transition. You didn't have time to make the transition. So that's a traumatic shock. So that's stuff that's lost. And God began to speak to me about an optimum return. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. Now you have to deal with this thing where you can try to go into some states of depression because now your normal has been disrupted unexpectedly, and you're forced into a situation. And anytime you separate from something that you're accustomed to, is going to be painful because separations are painful.
That's a really good kind of transition. So you've talked about maybe one of the things that I really want to encapsulate is what gets us to the point, the history of what leads us to where we eventually are, right?
Yes.
Not necessarily at the end of our lives, obviously, but just from period to period. So
Yes.
you had all of these experiences, you had all of these accomplishments, and in the midst of it, you had transition. So
Absolutely.
talk about the transitions that kind of led you to the place where you would eventually write your story down.
Yes. The optimum return. So there's the separation from the ministry and the church.
Mm-hmm.
Your normal has been interrupted. I'm sitting in Augusta, Georgia. I had just finished a conference at a Southern Baptist church. Moved out of my townhouse on the river. I'm sitting in my car and I hear, "Why sit you here and die?" I'm like, whoa. Why sit you here and die? I'm reminded, if I stay outside where I am, I die. If I go inside, the lepers, I risk the chance. But if there's provision there, why sit here and die?
Mm-hmm.
I started my car. I went to Chattanooga, Tennessee, back home.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was the place. Wasn't the place. Just didn't come together. So now that transition wasn't the right transition. I came to the Atlanta, Georgia area, knew a friend who pastored a church, got an office in his building. Now, God tells me there's an optimum return. Optimum is the greatest and most favorable degree of all. Everything lost, everything stolen, everything forfeited is going to be returned. Now, this is painful now. So now I'm transitioning for transformation now. You have to know what you're transitioning from and what you're transitioning to.
That's good.
So you have to know that. But remember, you're giving birth to something new, and anytime you give birth, all births are painful. And one of my mentors, Dr. Sam Chan, says, if you're not bleeding, you're not leading. Because if you're leading from a perspective where it's going to have impact and significance on the lives of another, there will be, as he says, blood on the floor. You're going to have a trail to follow of your blood, but you're transitioning and becoming. So in the process there, the pain, the separation, the inner healing that needs to take place, but you're not seeing it, you're not recognizing it because you're in the process. Out of that, God gave me the 8 P's of the promise. See, all this stuff is happening. I don't even know that transformation is happening because I don't know what transformation is.
Yeah.
I don't even understand transitioning because I'm in the process of it, but I don't understand it. All I know is I can't stay where I am, because if I stay where I am, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to die emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. Like you say, just a dead man walking.
Yeah.
So now we make the transition. It's painful now because you're separating. Here's the thing that's so very important. Your identity can never be locked up in a position that you hold, because if someone gives you the position, they can take the position. That's important. So if my self-worth and value is in that position, if that thing is taken away, I have no self-worth and value. So we transition, and in the midst, I come and I find out about dream releaser coaching, transformation. When I discovered the dream releaser coaching and I saw Dr. Chan was starting this, I said, someone told me, he said, "Doc, you're prophetic." He was attending Beulah Heights University. He said, I took this summer course in coaching, life coaching, transformational coaching. He said, "Doc, that's you." I said, "What you mean that's me?" He said, "Man, you're prophetic, you're apostolic, that's you." So I went down to the school with him, and I saw this flyer, said Dream Releaser Coaching, being held at Eagles Landing. Go and register. I went and registered. You have to pay now. So I went and registered, but I said, I'm going to make the sacrifice. That's where my transitioning for transformation started.
Mm.
Because in the training program that I went through, it's about a year-long program. Gonna cost you about $5,000. So it ain't no fly by night. You're gonna spend time and you're gonna work.
Yeah.
So I started through it, and the transformation process began when I got involved with the coaching, dream releaser coaching. You have to dream out loud, and you make your dreams become your reality. See, if you don't dream out loud and then speak life to your dreams, then all you have is a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams never do anything until you put action behind them to make them come your reality. So I go through this thing, and out of that, it's birthed in my spirit, write the book, The Law of Servanthood, because I served my man of God for all the years and traveled with him, and God anointed me for the anointing for the ministry of helps. And so, with that being said, it got in my spirit, write the law of servanthood, and your transformational process will begin. So I started writing the law of servanthood, uncovering and discovering the master key to greatness. I started writing that. Now, it started coming out of my spirit. I started writing it based upon my life experiences.
Right.
So I look, it has the law of servanthood, chapter 1. Chapter 2 is the triune God. Chapter 3 says that servanthood requires total sacrifice. Chapter 4 speaks about total surrender. Chapter 5, life through death. Now, look at these things. Total sacrifice, total surrender, life through death. Chapter 6 talks about the master key to greatness. Chapter 7 says servant's heart, servant's spirit. So you come through all these processes as I'm being transformed. That's how the book was birthed, and my transformational process is beginning. I'm transforming from who I've been socialized and modified to be, but I'm not recognizing it because it's an internal transformation.
So from the production of the book.
Yes.
I know you mentioned that it was mostly internal, but what are some tangible things that you have experienced post the release of what was in you, what was being birthed in you?
Yeah. Separation, which was painful. God gave me a prophetic word years ago. He said, Larry, I'm going to peel you like a man peels a banana. Now, notice when you peel the banana, that banana's naked. It's exposed. Everything about it is exposed.
Yeah.
So with the separation from the church, the peeling, see, that was the peeling of the banana. Painful. But he said, I'm peeling it. It's going to be painful, but the pain is necessary because the peeling is necessary because everybody sees Larry as having it all together. But they haven't seen the essence of that gentleness that I placed in you because you don't let people inside that wall.
How important is it as a man to be able to kind of share that, not only with other men, but just people in general, as a Black man specifically?
It's vitally important because men have been groomed by society to tell you that you can't be sensitive, that you can't be emotional, that you don't have a nurturing spirit in you. I tell people all the time, most of my traits came from my mother. At 6 years old, I was fixing baby formulas and changing diapers because my sister who was after me was born. At 7 and 8 years old, I could comb my sister's hair and plait it and it'd be tight.
I know that's right.
My daughter's hair, when they were growing up, I did their hair. I didn't have to take them and get somebody to do it. I could do it. Now, society says, if you do all that stuff, then you're going to have a spirit of perversion and you're going to go and be on the other side as a male. See, so that wall, you have to fight through that. So then that's something. So it's important for men to know it's okay to cry. It's okay to show your emotions. It's okay to let people know that you have pain. It's okay to let people know that you're searching for significance as a man. See, men need nurturing too.
Yeah.
Men have feelings. I did a conference some time ago, and it's unmasking man's pain. See me, hear me, feel me. Men have a need for significance. If they feel insignificant, then they feel devalued. A man's self-worth is in his significance.
Wow.
A man needs to be listened to. Don't just hear me, but listen to me. Pay attention to what I'm saying. If you don't, I'm going to check out on you. I'll be there physically, but spiritually, internally, I'm someplace else. So I'm going to check out on you because you're not listening to me. Then feel me. Understand that I'm emotional, but I've been groomed and socialized in an environment that tells me if I show my emotions, I'm not a man.
Yeah.
See, if I cry, I'm not a man. So men need to know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to let people know that you hurt, that you feel pain. It's okay to let people know I need to be valued and I need to feel significant. Men need to know that, and it doesn't take anything from you as a man. It really makes you more of a man.
That's good.
Oh, it does. See, I take pride in being able to nurture. And this is something that I hope people can understand. There's a masculine side inside of a female that can rise up when she needs to address situations when there's no male around. She can be present to the moment because she came out of male.
Yeah.
There's a feminine side inside a man that's not perverted because everything that's in the female was in him.
Yeah.
But when we allow it to be perverted, see, then everything gets out of balance. But there's a feminine side inside of the male that can nurture and care for the same way that a female does without it being perverted. A man needs to know it's okay to express that.
That is really good. And I think that's paramount to say, to verbalize as a man who's had a lot of experience. You a Marine, so you know what they say about Marines. The manliest of the manliest. So I think it's really good to verbalize that so that other people can hear it and digest it. Also, as a woman, for me to also put that in my mind so that I can remember it when I'm engaging with my husband,
yes,
or engaging it with any male who's a part of my life as well. You know what I'm saying? So that I don't put them in a situation where they want to dim that part of themselves, if you will.
Absolutely. I heard a man of God say, when the male and the female meets the male that she came out of, if we don't understand our assignments, we start to battle each other.
Ooh. That'll preach.
Yeah.
That's the basic reason for discord between a man and a marriage.
Absolutely. See,
wow.
The female came out of male, the side chamber. She's not inferior to him. She's a co-equal with him. They simply have different functions and different assignments.
That's it.
When we learn how to appreciate each other and our functions and our assignments, then we'll see that we're going to be able to replenish, multiply, and subdue. But the first thing that we must subdue is that hunger and thirsting to have dominion over each other.
Ooh.
Didn't give us dominion over each other, gave us dominion over the earth and the things in the earth, not over each other. I tell people, now I've been married more than 1 or 2 times. And I told God, I said, I know you can't be calling me to do no marriage coaching, no marriage consulting. He said, that person is dead. Ooh. And you've gone through the transformation and I've anointed you for it. Here's something so very important. anyone who's listening and who's going to listen, stop disqualifying yourself from what God has qualified you for, because you're being held hostage by the memories of your past. That's part of the transitioning for transformation. I call it self-imposed institutionalization. You've institutionalized yourself, put yourself in solitary confinement because you're being haunted by the memories of your past.
Ooh.
You got to break free. That's the power of transformation. The spirit of your mind being renewed. See, when the spirit of not my brain.
Right.
My brain is flesh. My mind is spirit.
That's good.
So now you're created in the image and likeness of God. That means everything about you that's significant was created as a spirit.
As a spirit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You were placed in a body. The body is the only flesh. Now watch this. This is so important. When we talk about operating in the flesh, many people want to take it to sin and all that. When we are in relationship, we operate in the flesh when we start catering to self-gratification.
Mm.
That's what operating in the flesh is, self-gratification. And many times we don't want to evict self-gratification and selfishness out of the equation. So if I make a decision to outlove you, outserve you, and outforgive you, and you make a decision to outlove me, outserve me, and outforgive me, and that's the only competition inside of our home, inside of our marriage, inside of our relationship, we're battling to outserve, outlove, and outforgive. What do you think you're going to have inside that home?
Ooh.
What do you think that relationship's going to be like?
That's the relationship. That's the goal, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And then you come and say, well, honey, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And then the other one say, what you talking about, baby?
Ain't even worried about it. Let's move on.
Yeah. What did you do? Forgive you for what? Don't mean we won't discuss it, but listen, we have conversation and dialogue. We talk to each other. We don't talk at each other.
Are y'all getting this? See, this is good.
But notice, it's part of my transformational process, because I've learned, because my failures have been the keys and have become stepping stones to my success.
So let's do this, Dr. Carnes. I want you to maybe offer a benediction that ties into your book. And if for those of you who are interested in purchasing his book, which I advise you to do it, because based off of this right here, your life is going to be enhanced significantly. But just offer us a benediction. What is the message? What are we trying to convey? What do you want people to take away from reading your what was transformed through you in pen form?
Yeah. Now here's power. I have the Law of Servanthood, but I also have the Law of Humility, which I've written.
Okay. Yes. The
Law of Humility says this: humbleness, submission, and obedience to God and his kingdom. And I have something in here that's so vitally important. There's something that says humility will land you on your feet when pride will put you on your face.
Yeah.
If I can be humble in my relationship and learn to serve and evict selfishness out of the equation, I'm going to get the quality life that I desire. This is something I like to say. Now I do these laws.
Yeah.
The law of appreciation. When I appreciate who I have, it will attract who I want. When I learn to appreciate who she is, when I learn to appreciate who he is, it's going to uncover and discover the essence. So watch this now. Now this vessel, because I appreciate the vessel of the treasure chest, when I learn to appreciate the treasure chest, the treasure chest will open up and give me access to the wealth and the riches that's contained in the treasure. I'll tap into a woman inside of the female that I've never discovered before. Because now I show her appreciation. That's part of transformation. So here's the takeaway. When you learn to appreciate who they are for who they are, you will uncover and discover what you've been desiring all your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and pass the collection plate because this was good.
It's there.
Yes.
It's inside. But because we're not present to the moment, if I can't appreciate you for who you are, not for what you have, I must value and appreciate you for who you are. Listen to me, everyone. Value and appreciate for who they are, not for what they have, not for what they can do, not for what you want. When you appreciate people for who they are, they will give you what they have.
And that's a fact.
That's a takeaway. So the book I'm writing on now and trying to get out is The Power of Transformation.
Yeah.
Internal restructuring for renewed empowerment. That thing is bad.
Oh, I mean, I'm already locked in. I mean, me personally, Dr. Carnes, thank you so much for lending your wisdom to this platform, for speaking, to the people. It's really it in this series. It's not just it's the ad part. Obviously, we want people to invest in you and to support what you have going on, but it's also an opportunity for people to connect with you too, because people might look at you in this space and again, as to reiterate, think that, oh, he has it going on. No, there was a going on that took place that led to where I'm going right now, and you can get there too. And I really appreciate you for lending that to this platform, to the people who will tune in and will tune in the future. And this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure and my honor. I thank you. We get on, and like the books, I hadn't even talked about the books, because the books to me is insignificant. What's important to me is personal development, empowering, transforming lives to be who God has created them to be.
Oh, we're gonna make sure your books get plugged in. Don't get me wrong. I'll take care of that on the back end. That's post-production stuff.
It's but yeah, and this platform that you have is so needed and it's so amazing. And then the atmosphere that you set is such a comfortable atmosphere that the person feels welcome and feels the liberty and the freedom to do. And so you're to be commended for the excellence and the quality in which you do it.
Thank you so much. I received that. I'm gonna stop this